So let's talk about inventory management practices and whether or not they're effective because it's I always like to call demand planning and forecasting kind of half art and half science. And so we're always trying to figure out what are the right numbers, what are the right levels, okay, so that we don't have excess stock, because that's just cash, cash sitting out on shelves somewhere, and we don't want stockouts because that impacts revenue, it impacts customer sat, all those types of things. So recommendations there, approaches that you've seen that have worked well in the
Yeah,
company.
as
And
you,
again, there's a lot of them. I know. I mean, I just
yeah,
opened up a can of worms there.
exactly. Yeah, well, I used to be in that world, right, with parts management, inventory management, things like that. But yeah, it is half art, half science, and there's a ton of good ISVs out there that provide add-ons for
Right.
sort of getting you to that level where you've got a your magic number for stockouts or customer satisfaction, and they try and help attain that. And then on the operational side, once you've kind of got those stocking levels in place, determining whether you're actually managing your inventory appropriately. It's great to say yes to get 95% fill rate. This is the inventory I need. Well, how do you know you actually have that inventory? Well, you got to have good systems in place in the warehouse, right? For getting the boots hitting the ground. Are they picking the right product? Are they losing it? Are they, what's going on down there, right? Like, can I do a 95% fill rate with what I have, with what I think I have? Do you actually have that? So, things like cycle counts, regular cycle counts,
Hmm.
scheduling those periodically, daily, weekly, whatever, especially on the higher volume items, those types of things, even potentially doing, count backs where pickers are actually doing mini cycle counts as they go, those types of things, are handy for making sure that what you're basing your decisions on from a procurement perspective are actually the reality in the warehouse. So, yeah, making sure you do those cycle counts or regular physical counts is very important. And then, of course, based on all that, you can set your reorder points, your stocking levels, and everything else you need to.
Well, and to circle back around to the ability to do those cycle counts and on a more regular and repetitive basis is so much easier with the barcoding technology. Okay. It's not like we're shutting the warehouse down at the end of the month. We're all coming in on a Saturday and we're physically counting inventory by hand. So the ability to leverage the barcode technology to assist in that process and therefore to potentially perform that process on a more regular and repetitive basis because it's not such a overwhelming task is just a tremendous benefit to the organization as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, the inventory counts are almost pay for the entire system if you're doing those full physicals. We had one
Yeah.
client a few years ago, everything was serialized. They had thousands of serial numbers, and they would
Ooh,
count for a
ooh.
week and then spend several more days reconciling. And they went to the barcoding, and their count was done in about a day and a half and reconciled that afternoon. So massive, massive savings and better accuracy and everything else. So yeah, the barcoding is nice. And for certain customers, that's where RFID could be handy as well.
Right.
Warehouse, it's a little tougher, but if you have retail outlets, if you're a retail store, and you have the ability to do the RFID tagging on the product that's out there, man, that makes inventory counts easy. I hold down the trigger on the RFID scanner, I walk around, and I've done my count. Like
Hey,
it's pretty
I
sweet.
spin around in a circle and I'm done, right?
Yeah, exactly. So when it works great. You just have to be careful about, the your expectations and the environment that you're bringing that RFID into,
Right, right.
because
No,
it
no,
doesn't work for everybody, right?
yeah.
Uh, it's got a
Right.
ton of promise, but it has its limitations.